you've brought this up on several podcasts.
Oh no, where are you going with this?
5-on-5 scoring, Lepore,
Here we go.
with McDavid and Draisaitl. I got this pulled up right now. Okay, so
God.
5-on-5.
Get ready, Oilers fans.
It's actually hilarious.
Bruno's already laughing. Get ready, Oilers fans. You know where he's going with this one.
5-on-5 points this season. Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you think is number one? I'll tell you right now, it's not a Leaf.
5-on-5.
5-on-5 points this year.
Is it kind of like a random one, semi-random one?
Not really. He's had a really good season.
I was gonna say Kadri was gonna be my guess.
He's right up there, but number one is Johnny Gaudreau.
Oh, okay.
So Johnny Gaudreau leads
Nice.
the league in 5-on-5 points. Austin Matthews is second. Kaprizov is third. Kadri is fourth. Michael Bunting is fifth in the National Hockey League this
Let's
season
go.
in 5-on-5 points. Does our audience want to know where Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid rank in 5-on-5 points this season?
Let's hear it, Anthony. Bruno, if I said no, would you not say it? So let's hear it, brother.
Oh, you know I'm bringing the heat right now. Leon Draisaitl, 12th in the NHL in 5-on-5 points. But it gets even better, Lepore.
Oh, I thought it was
Connor
going to be worse
McDavid,
than that.
18th in the NHL in 5-on-5 points this year. He is behind Andre Burakovsky. Well, I shouldn't say behind. They're tied in 5-on-5 points. 35 5-on-5 points. Andre Burakovsky, Connor McDavid. Actually, there's like a 5-way tie here. Jesper Bratt on the Devils. Cale Makar has as many 5-on-5 points as Connor McDavid. Wow. So even though Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl still lead the league in scoring, 79 points apiece, you got to take a look at these stats here. Because when these dudes are sitting 12th and 18th respectively in 5-on-5 scoring, there's no way you can say Austin Matthews is not the best player in the world right now. You just can't.
Boom, boom, boom.
So yeah, it's funny to look at that Michael Bunting has 5 more 5-on-5 points than Leon Draisaitl and 7 more 5-on-5 points than Connor McDavid.
Yeah. They were talking about it on the Steve Dangle podcast. I don't know if it was Dom Lecision or Jay Fresh, one of those guys, one of his metrics to measure defensive play. And get revved up, Oilers fans, if you didn't hear this already. He had, I forget if it was McDavid, Draisaitl or Draisaitl McDavid, but they were the 2 worst players in the league defensively based on whatever algorithm. And wow. I mean, yeah, like to be very bottom, I mean, make of that what you want. I don't know where the metric lies and what it gathers, but it's something. Like it's definitely something. One thing that was crazy was that I think everyone knows Scheifele is shit defensively, and Connor, but even like Blake Wheeler, like everyone talks about the Jets and their problems. If I remember correctly on that podcast, they mentioned that all 3 are like in the top based on this metric, were 3 of the worst, like 10, like in the National Hockey League, all playing for the same team on the same line for that matter. So yeah,
that's concerning.
Yeah,
come Jets. On. I know that that chart that you're referring to, I think it was a Jay Fresh stats chart showing those 3 Winnipeg Jets guys in the bottom 10 defensively among forwards.
Yeah.
You know, I still kind of have to me, I still think it's difficult to track just how good certain players are defensively. Mm-hmm. It's just way easier to track how good someone is offensively and how much they contribute on that side of the ice. I still think, and again, maybe some of the advanced stats guys in the community would completely disagree with me on this, but I still think we're a few years away from actually tracking this accurately. And I'm not saying it's not accurate, but I just think it's a hell of a lot easier to say that, you know, Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid contribute this much offensively, contribute this much to scoring this many goals. I think it's harder to kind of quantify how good, especially a forward is on the defensive side of the puck. And again, maybe the advanced stats community is going to call me a complete idiot, but I still think we're a few years away from like totally defining how good someone is defensively based on the data.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, too, it's impossible to separate the individual from their team. Like we mentioned, Scheifele, Wheeler, and Connor. It's 100%. I mean, 100%. I would assume that it's one of those things where the three of them aren't strong defensively from an individual standpoint. So then you put them all together, and because they're all bad, it kind of brings them all down to an even worse level. And in the case of McDavid and Draisaitl, at the end of the day, to me, it's about kind of like overall totality of what you bring to the ice. So whatever metric they use, however they did it, like for example, if they said, okay, McDavid and Draisaitl give up the most scoring chances when they're on the ice. Okay, but how many scoring chances are they also creating when they're on the ice? So like you say, oh, they're giving away 10, but if they're creating 15, well, they're +5. It doesn't matter. It's the overall number. So it was just kind of, I mean, I'm sure Jay Fresh loved to put that out because I'm sure it caused a lot of discussion, tweets, retweets, banter, people screaming and yelling. But I think, and I would say the same thing offensively. Someone might say, oh, so-and-so never produces anything offensively or very little. But then, okay, but if you look defensively, he doesn't give up a lot either. So he's still in the plus, he's still in the green, which is what really matters. So I'm with you that like these numbers, like make of them what you want. And they haven't really perfected the best ways to interpret defensive play or to calculate defensive play. But I'm simple, man. I look for the numbers, which players have the puck the most. Defensive zone entries, where the puck is on the ice when those guys are on the ice, scoring chances when those guys are on the ice. Because to me, those are the big ones that don't lie. Like I made the comment about McDavid, and anyone who thinks we're shitting on McDavid, the guy's incredible. When he's on the ice, the Oilers have the puck for the most part, and the puck is in the offensive end. And I remember being an Ottawa guy, it was kind of like the new age stuff of the advanced stats. But when Carlson was coming up in the league as this defenseman putting up all these points, people would make the what would point to how bad he was in his own end because he was never very good in his own end in front of the net. And I remember the point I would always bring up is that here you have this guy who's supposed to win the Norris Trophy, but when his team was up by 1 with a minute to go, he's not on the ice because he's a defensive liability. But from the overall standpoint, and again, this is kind of at least at the early days or early-ish days of advanced stats being like a normal thing, some hockey people pointed to me. They were like, yeah, but when he's on the ice, the Sens always have the puck. And it's in the offensive end. And the other team can't score when the puck's in the offensive end. So to me, those are the numbers that really jump out and I really pay the most attention to.
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of gray area. I do agree with you. Like if you look at, the shot attempts when someone's on the ice at 5-on-5, the scoring chances, the high danger scoring chances, like Austin Matthews rates very high in all of those categories. And
he's like the best at all.
And it's higher than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. It just is. You can go check Natural Stat Trick, any of these advanced stats websites, right? But in baseball, for example, right? Like there's so many stats. It's like, it's black or white, right? It's like this player goes up to bat 10 times and he gets on base 4 times out of 10. He gets a hit 3 times out of 10. Obviously, I can get crazy nerdy about baseball if I wanted to. I'm trying to really simplify it, right? There's only like a certain amount of outcomes that could happen. It's a one-on-one battle, the batter versus the pitcher. Whereas in hockey, it depends on your line mates. It depends on the goaltending. It depends on the system your coach has in place, right? Like there's so many different factors. So you can't really say that so-and-so is a terrible defensively, but how about if they had a chance to play with, I don't know, Patrice Bergeron or Austin Matthews, for example, then all of a sudden their defensive and offensive numbers go up, right? So I still think there's kind of a gray area when it comes to that. But as of right now, going back to what we talked about earlier, based on all the metrics, based on everything that we've seen over the first 50 to 60 games here, Austin Matthews has been the most dominant player in the NHL. And Oilers fans, you can yell at us all you want about McDavid and Draisaitl, but when they both rank 12th and 18th in 5-on-5 points, I mean, really? Andre Burakovsky has the same amount of 5-on-5 points. As
Bruno, there's a screwdriver, just Bruno going right in there.
Jesper Bratt, however he pronounces his name, has the same amount of 5-on-5 points this season as Connor McDavid. And you're going to tell me that that player right now is the best player on the planet. I'm sorry, I love Connor McDavid. Body of work, you could say he's the best player in the world, and I probably still would say he's the best player in the world based on body of work, but 2022 is the year of number 34 on the Toronto Maple Leafs, plain and simple.
We should be careful, Bruno. People are going to point to these comments we're making when McDavid signs with the Leafs as a free agent.
Oh, man.
Remember when you guys said he wasn't that good?
Oh, God. You know what? We like to joke around about it. People in hockey love to joke around about it, but there is actually a real possibility that happens. And I know Oilers fans don't want to hear it. And I know they're going to yell at us in the comments, but we'll just wait. We're going to patiently wait, Lepore, to see how that situation plays out in Edmonton. And we didn't even get into the Oilers in this podcast because we've ran out of time here. But
well, we kind of did. You kind of shot on their two best players for a while.
Well, just in terms of where they are right now, they're out of the playoff picture at the moment. The Edmonton Oilers are currently 3 points out of a wild card spot through 57 games.
In a shit Pacific division.
You know, it's hilarious how people would say, you know, Matthews put up all his points because of the shitty Canadian division, and now the Atlantic division, like the
I've seen that take.
Like Montreal and Buffalo, they all suck. Look at what fucking McDavid is playing against in the Pacific division. That division's a piece of shit.
And Tampa, Florida, and Boston and the Metro were all shit. I've seen that take. Give me a fucking break.
Oh my God, it drives me insane. Oh my, like I'm just like looking at some of the comments that I've seen when it comes to that. It's just like, you know, everyone praised McDavid, like 105 points in 56 games. And then everyone shits on Matthews for doing what he did against the Canadian division. And now this season, apparently Matthews has had an absolute cakewalk while McDavid is playing against these shitty Pacific division teams. They're not even in a playoff spot in the worst division in hockey, Lepore, the Edmonton Oilers. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I mean, we can go on and on,